the hardest thing about being a winner. That's what we're going to be talking about today. What is up, winning team? And I am finally kind of recovering from the vision that happened on Tuesday. Still in shock. Pray for your enemies and receive Christ. Anyway, we're going to talk about the hardest thing about being a winner, because I think it's clear for anybody who's been here for long enough that I have a tendency, I realized the other night that I have a tendency to always think about the negatives about being a winner as opposed to the positives. And I decided I would actually share with you all, because I feel like this is where I actually become valuable. Because I'm so not focused on the positives that I think about the negatives. I think about the negatives that people don't think about when they're trying to pursue any kind of win in life, right? Because when you have something you want, people think about the glitz and the glam of it all. They think about what they're going to gain. You think about the validation of others seeing you doing whatever you do, the trophy, the certificate, the achievement, the accolade, the whatever. You know what I'm saying? The money, the power, the fame. Like, people think about those things, right? What they are to gain from it. And I need to now think more about that. Okay. So that's where I'm at. But I feel like whenever I see other people pursuing their goals in life, they don't think about the consequences, the negatives. So that's where my area of expertise is. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you all in this video, because as I've said to you guys, as I always say, same thing I say to my students, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. You'd never want to do something and not prepare for the best case scenario and the worst case scenario. Something I've realized that people tend to do is they prepare for the best case scenario and then just kind of ignore what would happen in the worst case scenario. And then when that thing happens, then they don't know what to do because you didn't think about it. So that's why I say, you guys, it's really important to think through our decisions really carefully and not just be so quickly running so confidently into what you want, because you may need to think about what other things come with it that are not just all the shiny things. The number one thing I think is the hardest part about being a winner, and this is the key one, is being around losers, right? And I know that sounds, I'm going to have to explain what I mean by that, but actually I should actually do a video defining what a loser is. I'm going to do that next. Let me just write and make a note of that. I'm going to do a video on that afterwards. So like, let's define loser. I have spoken about it, but it probably is good to just have its own video. Anyway, but being around losers is the toughest part for a number of reasons. It's the hardest thing. Number one, it's always going to create some kind of tension. I've been thinking about this now, and I never really thought about it in the past, that I've realized now there's certain times when I was experiencing some tension with people because they lost. They lost. Because let's be honest, right? If you all go into a situation and you're all trying to achieve something and there's only one spot at number one, unfortunately, in the words of Abby Miller, number two is the first loser. Now, again, for me, and this is where I feel like being a winner or a loser is a mentality and a lifestyle, not just like you're a loser in like because you lost, right? I've taken losses. I was thinking about this earlier, about this one girl who beat me at 100-meter sprint, and she was so good. Boy, it bothers me to this day that she beat me. But she was so good, and I got to give it to her. I lost, you know what I'm saying? So it's not about losing per se. It's about a mindset and a lifestyle, because of course winners take losses as a chance to learn and grow and do better, or to help guide you to the right direction of where you want to go. Because you might lose at one thing, which might be the sign that this isn't the thing for you, but maybe something slightly different is the thing for you. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. So being around losers, me taking a loss, I love losing. I love being beaten. In fact, it's the most impressive thing for me if somebody can beat me at something. I am like, that's something I find impressive, because I'm like, this is so cool. I have an opportunity to grow. Also, this is so cool that you're so good at this. You know what I mean? And I realized that that's not how losers generally feel, with the losing mentality, the losing lifestyle. They start to say things that completely disregard, and they just hate us, basically. That's the long and short of it, right? It's the, you got luckies. It's the excuses for why, you won, like, oh, the weather today was this, or you had an advantage because of that. the ref took your side, it's because of racism, like whatever, right? They have some reason, right? They will make you hate, they'll make you feel guilty for winning, right? Even when it's fair, even with whatever, you'll be accused of cheating. Losers have a very ugly spirit. And again, I'm talking not about when you've taken a loss, I'm talking about people who have a losing lifestyle. They have a really ugly spirit, right? And then it's also the jealousy element, right? So again, they will try to make you feel, they want to bring you down a peg. I never really realized this until later in life, because this used to happen to me a lot as a child. As a kid, I had a lot of confidence, right? And that I never recovered to the level of confidence I had as a kid, right? Which, because this is what happens as adults, right? We start out well, God gives us everything. We get born into this freaking horror show that is society. And then all the good things get beaten out of us in childhood. And then by the time we're all adults, we're all just, the perfect slaves to work for the losing team. Anyway, and I remember, like, in hindsight, at so many points in my life, people just wanting to pull me down a peg. Like, every time I would win, be pulled down a peg. Every single time you would win, you get pulled down a peg. So yeah, sorry. I know just people like to pull you down a peg, and I see it happening to others where, like, sometimes, you guys know, I'm a pessimist, right? I'm a proud pessimist, because again, I think people are too optimistic, and the optimistic people usually are the reason why people like me have to work extra hard, because they're too busy being optimistic that they're not actually doing anything meaningful to actually change things in life. And so it's just a funny cycle, isn't it? The optimists believe that tomorrow's going to be a better day. The pessimists know that tomorrow's not a better day, because until somebody makes tomorrow a better day, then the pessimists make tomorrow a better day, which means the optimists can continue in their delusions. Honestly, that is what I would love for my children if I ever have them. I want them to be optimists. That's what I need for them. That's one thing I really hope for them, that they believe in the world and they believe in people. But one thing I realized about that when it comes to losers like to bring optimistic people down. They like to bring other people down. They're offended by winners, right? And that's what I'm saying. Even though I'm a pessimist, I love optimistic people. I need them in my life because I love that they have hope for something. So I don't feel like tearing them down, even though I'm not in the same position as them. And I don't feel optimistic like them, but I don't want to tear them down. I've realized that people are offended, right? Because all winners have to have some kind of, there has to always be a level of like almost slight delusion. Well, societally perceived delusion in what you want to do, because what you want to do sounds insane. And I remember throughout my whole life, I will always remember people saying certain statements. Like, I remember one time I was in drama at school, and I remember this girl in my class being like, there's no point anyways, none of us are ever going to be able to, going to amount to anything, like, anyway. And I remember thinking, well, you're one less opponent for me to have to come up against in the future. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, people with a losing mentality, like, it's shocking to me. One of the things I think about, and like think about my experience at school, I've always been somebody that, like, whenever I meet people, it doesn't take long for me to recognize their purpose in life, right? To some extent, like, just from a few questions, right? And so I've always been somebody that, like, I can always see everybody's I can see everybody's potential. And so it just shocks me how, like, coming into adulthood and seeing how everybody's lives have turned out from school, everybody's lives reflect everybody's attitudes that they had, like, from even school, like, in terms of winning and losing. Right, the people that were haters and naysayers are the ones who are all now trying to copy the same people that they were hating on. The ones who who said that they were never going to amount to anything, never amounted to anything. And the ones that were bold enough to dream and do things are the ones who are dreaming and doing things. It all comes down to a choice, right? So being around that energy space is another one of those things, like, being around just the losers in general. So I'm saying they're like, their presence, the Bible says, how can two walk together unless they're agreed, right? Unless you're in agreement. If you are trying to fight, if you're trying to live as a victor and somebody around you is trying to live as a victim, somebody's going to be offended by somebody eventually. Now, ultimately, victors don't care because they know they're going to be victorious. Hence why winners are always focused on themselves and their goals. Victims are always looking for somebody else to blame, right? This is the losing mentality thing. So then being around that energy space, and again, there's so many times where like, so even when I've been in Italy, right, this has been one of the biggest reminders, because obviously I'm living in this town that to me is the closest I'll ever get to hell, right? And it's so weird, like just the stark difference between being amongst people who are living in Italy, who are trying to like create themselves a career in the entertainment industry. They're taking every opportunity they can. They've got no excuse. These people, like the hardest working people. I put myself on the bottom of the totem pole of the degree of hard work of all of the people I meet in Italy. They are so hardworking and doing absolutely everything they can for their goals. They're not making any excuses for anything or any excuses for any areas of their life. In all areas of their life, they're trying to give it their best. They're giving it their all, and it's paying off for them. Right? So being in that energy space for me was inspiring, which you guys have seen. It changes me. That's what I'm saying again, is the hardest thing about being a winner, is that majority of the time you're going to be around losers. Majority of the time you're going to be around people that are going to drag you down, that are going to make it harder for you to want to excel. They're going to make it harder for you to want to keep pushing forward. They're going to make it harder for you. Just their energy is going to drain you. And this is why when you talk about like the people you keep around you is so important. Like it's so important. I don't tolerate having people around me that complain, that are complainers and not doers. People that just complain and don't do anything. Don't keep those types of people around me. I don't keep the kinds of people around me who are always thinking and looking at the wrong things and just obsessing over the wrong topics and the wrong whatevers, because I'm like, you're a time waster. I haven't got time to waste. I haven't got time to get caught up. One of the most, again, hard parts about being a winner, and it's something that I know because people find it offensive, is when you choose to, how you choose to, is people being offended at how you choose to use your time, right? So to me, I do believe that for majority of the human interaction conversations, it is more efficient for me to be alone and literally stare at the wall than it is for me to engage in majority of the conversations that people want to have with me. And that's not because I'm trying to offend them, but it's because I'm staring at the wall. I'm actually thinking about, I'm doing introspection. I'm thinking about myself. What do I need to do better? What do I need to do differently? I'm taking a moment to actually stop and think, which I told you guys, this is one of those things people don't do. I know people don't do it because people keep making the same mistakes. It's like you clearly didn't stop and take stock of what was happening. You clearly just keep going and going and going and going and going. That's how the enemy, I think, purposely makes us so busy and always on the go, so that we don't have the time to stop and actually process what's happening. And so that's what we end up doing. So I rather stare at the wall because I'm taking a moment. I'm actually thinking. And it does usually happen that I have some kind of serious revelation or epiphany, usually after I've just been sitting there thinking in silence, staring at a wall for like an hour, or the ceiling or something, right? Or nature, which obviously nature is the best of all. But you know what I mean? So other people will be offended because they'll be like, oh, I haven't heard from you. What were you doing? Oh, I saw you were just, whatever. And you're like, well, I'm not doing anything. Oh, well, why couldn't we do this? Why couldn't we do that? Listen, guys, I got to the point, like, at the moment, for me personally, with my goals, I don't have time to be doing like cute little dinners and just like talking about nonsense and nothing. I ain't got time for it. I've got things that I need to do. I've got like things that I need to work on for what I want to do in this life. I'm 28. Time is a ticking, my friend. I don't have time to just be doing any random wahalas. I don't have time to just be, just clinking my jaws together like for the sake of absolutely nothing. I don't have money to waste just in this world, in these various industries, when we are playing a game of life. These are the things that make it hard. It doesn't sound like that big of a deal now, but when it's in actual practice, in actual life, when people are trying to go along, because you've got to remember that the losing team operates with the world, the winning team operates like the kingdom of heaven. So the losing team is just going sweeping away with the world systems. They're trusting in everything in the world. They're trusting in the world to do everything. They're trusting in the justice system. They're trusting in the education system. They're trusting in the media. They're trusting in the entertainment industry. They're trusting the pharmaceutical industry. They're trusting in all the world systems. So when you now don't trust in the world systems, and now you're living in a different system, right? It's going to offend people, even if you are not judging them. And that's the biggest thing I've realized about losers, is they project. So they will say things about you because it's how they feel about you, right? And they will try to make you feel bad. So like, you think you're better because this, you think you're this, you are arrogant, you are this, just for you are whatever, selfish, whatever it is, because they want to have control and they're offended. Losers are always offended by you doing what you having the confidence to do what is not being done by everybody else. And being a winner, you're always going to be doing what's not done by anybody else, because how would you win if you're doing, how would winning ever going to be ever going to be the result of doing what everybody else is doing. Winning is always the result of being prepared to do what other people are not willing to do, right? And so that's actually the hard part about it. And we just don't talk enough. Like I said, it's all fun and games in theory when you think, oh, I'm going to go and, I don't know, run this race and I want to become the first in the Olympics, right? What you don't think about is along the way, you're going to go to this particular competition in camp, and then you're going to make friends, you're going to meet people, you're going to come across your competition. Then you're going to have to face the people that you're against, you know, sitting in the cafeteria afterwards when you guys go to eat. Then you're going to be training together and you're going to be all trying to get your personal best, and you're going to have to be trying to get a bit bigger personal best than maybe somebody that you consider your close friend and other people watching. And then you're going to have to go to the competition and go against the people that you care about. And then you're going to have to realize that you both want the same goal and neither of you can both have the same goal. So ultimately one person is going to be disappointed. And I was thinking about this when I think about Olympians, like who come number one, and how I'll tell you guys how the truth. As much as you can have like your lovely little support system in whatever game you're playing, whatever competition, whatever thing it is, whatever thing you're trying to win at, as much as you can have like your lovely little support system, the realities are it's always going to be uncomfortable when you are the one who ends up winning. It's always going to be uncomfortable for everybody else. There's always going to be a weird tension, because at the end of the day, you're all working towards that same goal. So if you're the one who gets it, right, is going to be some kind of tension. And it takes very mature, very pure-hearted people to truly be happy for you when you win. And this is the other thing. You don't know how you're going to react, or in particular, how anybody else is going to react when you win. One of the things I've realized is it's the easiest thing for us as winners, like as people, to believe that we are better. I've said this before. As humans, we always think better of ourselves than what we actually are. So we think, oh my gosh, if my close friend, if my whatever was successful, I'd be so happy for them. Until you're confronted with that actually happening, and then all of a sudden these demons you didn't know even existed in you rise to the surface, because you're like, oh, why do I not feel happy for this? Or why am I kind of combating this person, or what this is happening with them? You start to realize there's something within you that you didn't really notice was there beforehand. Like, why am I kind of acting like, you know what I mean, towards this person? Or you notice somebody happening to you, as in like they all of a sudden are like, you know, that's another thing that happens. Like, people will kind of not know how they were going to react to you being successful. Now, of course, you'll see that the people who didn't have your best interest at heart, more often than not, will have been cut you off in the whole process of you progressing. Once you win, they want to swoop back in, talking about, I'm so proud of you. I knew this is how, I always knew you would succeed, blah, 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 the liars. Or the other one where people start to plot and plan. This is why, you know what I'm saying, guys? Like, I'm talking about this because I be really talking to the Lord. Like, I really be thinking like, and I'm thinking immediately of Britney Spears, right? Because I'm thinking she was a pure of heart person. This is where I'm so grateful that I never had any of my big real wins until I've learned all this wisdom, right? She was the purest of intentions, and she wanted to help the people around her. She did everything any one of us would do if you managed to have a big win, right? And it backfired on her because the nature of the people that were around her, right? The nature of the people that were around her were the types of people that when she was up now, they wanted to control her. They wanted to take advantage. She was unaware, because again, the problem with being a winner in life is that you don't realize how losers operate. So you are the one who's going and minding your business and just thinking that people are like you, and you don't realize the number of conversations I've had to have, especially recently now that I've become some type of a mentor to some people, if you will, which is the words that have been actually being used, which is insane. But anyway, one of the things I've noticed is that people have this really struggle to like understand that other people that they're dealing with don't think like them, and no matter what you say, are not going to think like the way you do unless they choose to, but their behavior shows they're so far away from that. And you just have to accept it. You just have to accept it. There's nothing you can do. The only person you can control is yourself, right? So these are the things like that I think are like the hardest things about being a winner, because you want to win. When you win, you're like, I don't know, I'll speak for myself, but in my mind, if I win, the win is for everybody. For me, no one gets left behind. everybody's on board, everybody's in, we're waiting for everybody to hop on the ship, we all gonna win this thing together, right? And if I'm winning, that means everybody's won, it means it's our win, you know. But people don't see it that way, because people want to have, the losers are usually far more overly obsessed with getting more so the validation than the actual achievement itself. So they more want the validation that comes with it, the money, the power, the fame, than they actually care about the achievement of it all, or the internal validation of, I am proud of myself. Because this comes through self-love. To me, winning, it's like a form of self-love. Like, I'm bringing the best out of myself. I want to see the best out of myself, because that's, if God has created me like this and he's given me whatever he's given me inside of me, then I should take what God has given me inside of me and I should produce that into the best version of myself. That's me loving myself, is being the best version of myself. That's got nothing to do with anybody else, and it's got nothing to do with any kind of accolade or any kind of validation that's out there. That's all internal, and I'm the only person, and me and God, who really truly know what I'm capable of and what I can do. But I've realized that for others, and I talked about this in my Pride video, their validation and their driving force comes externally, and that's why they care so much about what people think, and that's why they think so much about winners, and they have so much to say about winners, because, and then why they say these things and try to bring you down, because they feel like, in order to, like, if they can bring you down, it makes them feel like they can bring themselves up, because they think that you operate the way that they do, but actually you don't, right? And so then that bothers them, and then they continue down that track of just obsessing and being a loser, and then you are the one who ends up becoming winning. And then what will happen, and this is the really hard part, which is where we're at now, which is kind of what made me even think about this, is you then get to the season when, you know, the whistle is blown, it's come to the end, whatever, it's harvest season, right? Your crops have grown, you know what I'm saying? You planted them at the time that you needed to plant them, and now they're grown. It's the season of harvest. And now everybody has to harvest whatever they did. You're now winning, which is going to now upset them even more. They're now going to have to take their losses, and you're going to again have that tension is going to be there, because they're going to act as if there's some other reason, anything other than themselves, for why there's now this tension. They're going to act like somehow you don't deserve to be where you are, or they deserve what you have, or whatever. This is how losers behave. This is exactly how the world is. If you guys have actually noticed, this is one thing I noticed in social media, especially. I've been on a bit of a social media break as well, by the way, guys. But anyway, one of the things I noticed in social media is that the thing that now, because people can just like comment on everything and anything and whatever, is it's really highlighted how much people kind of love to hate. They love to hate. They love to feel like the person that has succeeded has only succeeded because of luck, because there's nothing else that could have happened. It could have happened to anyone, because it's the perfect way for them to make the excuse for why they can't have it, because they don't want to take the accountability, because losers can never take accountability. Hence why the world is the losing team. There's no sense of accountability in the world, right? And humility, right? It's all pride. They have to believe that there's something other than your hard work and your attitude, your lifestyle, and your mindset. That is why you are where you are. So that's why they say things like, you got lucky, you did this, you did that, oh, it's only because of this, oh, it's only because of that. And you hear all these hating things, right? You see a really beautiful woman, and there's this one girl who's really pretty. She's so stunningly gorgeous, right? And I'm like, people just actually love to hate her. Like, they find the smallest things about her. I'm not going to say her name, but they find the smallest things about her. And I'm like, it's so obvious that people just hate her because she's pretty, because she's actually really nice. She's a really nice girl. And to me, she seems quite genuine, according to my Holy Spirit. She seems quite genuine. In fact, if anything, I think she actually is more desperate for attention than people actually realize. And hence why, you know, she comes across the way that she does, because she's actually so insecure. But no one's ever going to notice that she's insecure. And a lot of these really beautiful girls I've noticed on social media, they are really insecure. But people never notice that, because they're so busy overly fixated on, oh, that girl, she's so pretty. Her life must be perfect. She must be this. She must know that she feels like that she is this. And they don't. And because you're so busy, obsessed, they're just being genuine and honest. And because they're being genuine and honest in their insecurities and living, that's what's actually attracting attention, is their authenticity and the pureness that's coming out from them. And it just happens that it's amplifying their beauty. But then you can't see that, because you're so fixated on the fact that this person, you see it with men and women. It happens on both sides, right? If a man is handsome, if he's charismatic, if he's funny, like anything that he does, his he's going to be put way more highly critiqued than the rest of the men are going to be. That's just how it goes, right? Everybody's going to feel way more comfortable to give way higher critiques because, again, they're perceived that you have something I don't have. You're a handsome man. You're a tall man. You're charismatic. You're funny. Like, you have something I want. And because I don't get it, I'm going to now take that out on you. And I'm going to now take out my frustration. I'm going to project. You might just be the nicest person ever. But because I am looking at you, that's why these men, a lot of times, a lot of handsome guys, just because they're handsome, get called arrogant. They say that they have a giant ego. They've done nothing wrong. Like, I've been watching a lot of competition shows recently, guys, and I've just realized, like, people really just hating on good looking people for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, you feel like, oh, he thinks he's this, or you immediately get labeled, right? Just for being good looking. Like, oh, because you're handsome, you have to be a player. Because you're beautiful, you have to be a whore. Like, that's how it goes. This is what I'm saying. This is the nature of winning in life. Like, people can never win. Losers will always see winners as having every other reason other than every other reason for them winning that has nothing to do with their hard work or them just utilizing the cards that they have in life. Because like I've said to you guys, in life is a game. We're all dealt different cards, right? We're all dealt a different hand, but all different hands can be beneficial in different ways if you use them smartly. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, you guys, I'm just going to leave that there for here and for now. But yeah, I just thought I would say that because it's important to think about. Like, it's all fun and games. Like, I've been saying to the Lord, like, God, it's all fun and games, all these blessings you're trying to give me. But I don't know, for me, I'll be honest, I'm putting my faith in God, but I'll tell you that for me, myself, the negatives outweigh the positives for me right now. I'm just being honest. I'm just being authentic with you guys. The negatives outweigh the positives for me. I can't deal with the drama. I can't deal with the people. I just can't be bothered. Like, I really don't need it in my life. It's not that deep. I don't need the validation of the world of like me succeeding. I've succeeded enough in this life. I have Christ. I have God. Like, I've already won. Like, so it's just, but you know, we're going to entertain it anyways, because it's a bit of fun. We're going to do it for the plot. I'm going to do it for the team. But I just think about it. It was all I'm saying. Just be aware, because I think these are the things that shock people. And this is why we find the Britney Spears, all these stories, the Justin Biebers, the Kanye West, all these stories, like you succeed and you think, oh, this is going to be great. This is just going to run into it. You don't think about what comes alongside the negatives. Then the negatives end up dictating the entirety of your life, because you have to now face up to all those different things, as I'm saying here now. And then when you face up to all those different things now, that then is the thing that then changes, potentially prevents you from the long-term wins as well. So for me, I'm all about long-term winning. If I'm starting a winning season for me now, that means this is the winning season ends at my last breath. Does that make sense? The winning season ends at my last breath. If I start a winning season now, ain't no walking into things without knowing what I'm getting myself into, counting the cost for carrying my cross, and being aware. One of the most important things we have to be aware of as winners, guys, is we have to be distinct. The Bible says we're holy and set apart. We're set apart. We're different to the world. You're in the world, you're not of the world. Do not conform to the ways of this world. We're not like them. So we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware that there's always going to be tension. Anyways, I'm going to do a separate video now to define what a loser is, right? To define what a loser is. Because we talk all the time about winners. We're going to define losers for you guys. So yeah, I hope you guys are enjoying this. Also, happy Sabbath. You all guys already know I love recording videos on the Sabbath, because I just feel like me and the Lord, I just feel his presence so thickly in the atmosphere. And I just feel like the warmth of the Lord in the moment. So I love making videos during the Sabbath. Anyways, you guys, if life's a game, it's pay to win. God bless every single one of you. God loves you. I love you. And I'll see you in my next one.